Because listen, you go take a job, you're going to start a job at minimum wage. You go take a job, you're going to start a job at an entry level, whether you got a college degree or whatever the fuck, you're going to start a job as an entry level. You might as well start your passion with entry level pay, because then the sky is the limit because you're actually passionate about it and you'll stay with it forever.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the 1%er podcast. We have an awesome guest in the house, Ryan Stewman. He's in sales, he's in real estate,
My man.
business. Been to jail how many times? This guy's a stud. Awesome to have you, Ryan.
But he got some cool cars. He got a beautiful house, beautiful family, and he's a damn good salesman because his wife is beautiful, and he ain't that cute.
I agree with you there. You know, I'm gonna have to 100% agree with you there. You can always tell a closer by how ugly he is and how hot his wife is. Like, you know, they say bad salespeople have skinny kids and ugly spouses. I'm just telling you, man.
Oh man,
Love it.
Funny, man. That's funny, Ryan. Well, tell us a little bit about your business. You know, how you got. I know you have a crazy story, so I want to cover that a little bit. So yeah, just tell us where you came from and how you got started in the sales game.
I'll try to make this as quick as possible, man. I got a long ass story, but I've never had a salary job in my life. And, you know, most people that get into sales, because they didn't grow up with a silver spoon, right? Like if you grew up with a silver spoon, then you got a parents that own a job, or they can get you a job with some of their fraternity brothers or sorority sisters or something like that, or maybe go to college. Man, I grew up poor, learned a lot of hard lessons, ran the streets, was homeless. You know, and sales has been like the only thing my whole life that no matter where I came from, no matter what I might have done, sales has always had its arms wide open for me. So I never been able to get a job. I remember in 2002, my friends were like, we were going through the telecom boom back then. For those of you that are listening that are old enough to know that, my friends, they were getting these jobs for like $40 an hour, right? And I would ask my friends, I'm like, damn, what are you doing at MCI over there? What are you doing at Alcatel over there? And they're like, I don't know, man. I just show up in this cubicle and they pay me $40 an hour, man. And meanwhile, I'm like busting my ass in sales every day. I got no safety blanket. So if I don't go to work and I don't meet with people, I don't get paid. And I remember when all the telemarketing stuff crashed, like the telecom business crashed, I still have my job in sales. So they didn't develop any skills and they'd shown up and got these beautiful salary jobs. And that was like the first time that I ever realized like, oh shit, like in sales, truly the sky is the limit. I started off selling car washes. I was adopted and I sold car washes for the gentleman that adopted me. I call him my stepdad. And it was basically inbound sales. So like a car would come on the lot and they'd be like, I want a $6 wash. And it was my job to bump them to like a $10 or $15 wash. And I got paid 50 cents, $1 for every car that I bumped.
I go there, man, they upsell you on that. You want the wax on it? Do you want the tire shine on it? And then now the latest one was, oh, you got a chip on your window and we can just build the insurance for it. Yeah.
Insurance, yeah. and you know, like when someone pulls up in like a ratty ass car, you just sell them a $6 car wash. When you pull in, Sam, you buying a $50 car wash every time. You know what I mean? Like you in a Lamborghini, shit, you're gonna have to buy this expensive shit. We can't take it on the track. You don't want to scratch it with the equipment. You know, like, it didn't scratch that Ford truck. Yeah, but you don't want to risk your Lambo. You know, like so that was me. And I also sold drugs to all the people that worked at the car wash, right? Because it's not like car wash people are like, you know, Ivy League individuals, just like myself. And I got busted for selling drugs when I was 19. And I had to go do a little time, man. I've been in and out of 8 or 9 different prisons in my life. Not necessarily a fun place for.
Yeah, you know, car washes and drugs at the same location? I love you, bro.
I was always like,
You're a real entrepreneur, man. You were at one location, you had 2 different businesses going on.
So get this, like, so I get arrested for selling drugs, and I finally made bond. I was in the county jail for like a month, and my grandma saved enough money to bond me out. So now my grandma a little bit of money, and I can't go back to working at the car wash because my stepdad's mad at me. So I got this job as an electrician. So, but then it's like Breaking Bad, right? Because I got this job that I go to work at 6:30 in the morning. I get off at 4 in the afternoon. At 4:30, I worked there for $10 an hour. At 4:30 in the afternoon, when I got home, I showered, and by 5 o'clock, I walk across the street from my apartment, and I was the greeter fella, the host at a Mexican restaurant. I worked there till 11. When I got off at 11, I sold dope till 1 a.m. and would get right back up at 6 in the morning to go back to work. Man, I was working 3 jobs at once to pay everybody back, right? And to pay a lawyer and bail money, my grandma, all this other shit, right? So it actually got worse once they arrested me, man. It was crazy. And so anyway, I had to go do a little time, and I got out, and my stepdad said, well, you know, you're probably reformed now. So I give you a job selling car washes, right? And the truth was, like, I just wanted to be free. I didn't give a shit if I made money or anything. I just want to be a free man. Like, that was not a place for me. But I worked hard, man. I was working 12 hours a day at the car wash, and I was the type of cat that you might come in, I sell you a car wash, then I vacuum your car, and then I'd be wiping the damn thing off in the front when you leave, right? So somebody took note, and this is a good lesson for the young folks that are listening here. Like, you may not think so, but if you work hard, someone eventually pays attention to you. Yeah. So after I worked there for 2 years, we had a regular customer. This lady would come in once a week for the whole 2 years. And one day she hits me up. She says, hey, come here for a minute. And I said, yes, ma'am. How can I help you? She said, I want to give you a job. Every time, not once, but every time for the 2 years that you worked here, you like you sell me a car wash, you vacuum my car, you wipe it off in the front. She's like, dude, you're a machine. If I want to give you a job. I said, well, what do you do? I already got a job, right? Because I just wanted to be free. I said, well, what do you do? And she said, I sell mortgages. I said, what's a mortgage? I didn't know. And she said, it's home loans. And I said, well, I don't know anything about money, man. I pay my rent in cash. I own that 1968 Ford F-250 over there for cash. I paid $500 for it. Like, I don't even have a credit card, lady. She goes, I'll teach you how to do mortgages. I'll teach you finance. I'm a broker, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, you also don't understand the reason why I work here is I'm a convicted felon. She goes, what'd you get convicted of? And I said, selling drugs. She goes, you'll fit in just fine. Right. And so like she took me, she passed away a couple years ago, but she took me under her wing. And my first year in mortgages, when working for a small brokerage, like within 45 days, I made like $24,000. Man, I was like fucking young Bill Gates at that point in my mind. You know what I mean? I was like, oh shit, I thought selling car washes at $700-800 a week was big money. Now I'm making, $12,000-13,000 a month. Like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, what we say in Texas, I'm in tall cotton. You know what I mean? And so what happens from there is the next year I run out of like a little sphere of influence, right? Like my realtor slowed down and some stuff like that. So one Saturday, I'll never forget this shit. One Saturday, I'm sitting I bought a house. So I'm sitting in my house and it's like this Saturday only, Rich Dad, Poor Dad seminar at the Radisson Hotel. And I was like, oh shit. So they're going to teach people real estate. That means people there are going to need money. I'm going to go to this event and I'm going to go meet the people that go to this event because they want to buy houses and I can get them the money to buy houses. Makes sense. So I showed up. And so I showed up at the event number 1 because they were running 4 that weekend. I planned to go to all 4 of them, right? Because I'm a prospect and network and all that stuff. I go to event number 1. I meet this one dude. Monday, he signs 56 loan applications with me. I refinanced 56 properties for this guy. He was a big time investor, man. Then they were there like every other weekend. And so I kind of got this reputation as this dude that would always show up and never buy the stuff. Right. And I wasn't trying to be like a dude that didn't buy stuff. I wasn't there to learn to flip real estate. I was there to sell people mortgages. Right. Well, one day the speaker goes, hey man, you can't always be here like roaching our clients. And I said, what you want me to do? He goes, buy the shit. And I said, how much is it? He said, $3,000. I said, all right, fine. I'll buy the shit. At this point in 2005, like at this point, I'd already made $50,000, $100,000 from going to their seminars, right? And so then I learned from the program, because I bought it, I might as well take it. I learned how to flip properties. So in 2004, I made like $100,000. 2005, I made $770,000, right? Like from flipping properties and doing refinances. And all of a sudden I'm speaking at these seminars and I got like the greatest story ever. It's like I have a GED. And I still got the package in my file cabinet here. I have a GED. I have my prison ID. And I talk about how I was poor and adopted. And then I show them my bank account balances and shit. Dude, everybody was going to the back of the room buying that shit. Because they're like, if this dumbass can do this stuff, then surely my ass can do it, right? And so then they would all come to me for mortgages, man. And I got to where I owned 32 houses. I was working from home. I was flipping houses. Now, this is 2005 when working from home wasn't really a thing, And so I'm working from home. I got people paying me rent, realtors coming over, investors coming over. My neighbors must have reported me for selling dope, thinking that, because I had all this traffic coming to my house. And the cops raided my house. I didn't have no dope, but I had a gun. So they took my ass to prison for felon in possession of a firearm. And this time I had to go to federal prison because it's a federal crime. It's like I lost everything. Like I walked in prison a millionaire and married, and I walked out divorced and broke. She left me for the dude that mowed the yard. She like garden snake, you know what I'm saying? And so here I am, like broke as shit. Yeah, I'm broke as shit. I walk out with $25 in my name in 2008, but I know two things. Like one, I can sell, right? And two, I got W-2s and 1099s and tax returns where I can go get another job in finance and show them that, hey, like even though I got these 2 felonies, I'm bad motherfucker. If you put me to work, I'm gonna make you some money. And so I finally found the biggest bank in Texas. It was privately owned. It's a place called Texas Lending. And it took me 2.5 hours to convince the sales manager to give me a job. But in 2008, the market crashed too, right? If you remember, like it was a bad time to be in real estate and finance.
I remember.
But from September of 2008 to March of 2010, which is roughly like 17, 16 months, I made $300,000 in a down market. But then in 2010, Obama passed this law called the Dodd-Frank Act. And it was actually a good law, except for there was a caveat in that law, which all laws have caveats, right? That said if you were a felon, you couldn't get a license to do mortgages anymore. So like there went my prospects of doing that shit. And so that's when I started building it. I knew this. It was like, fuck, man, I done built this business twice and got screwed on it twice. And either time it wasn't my fault, right? It's the damn government's fault, but it was my fault for being a troublemaker the first time or none of this shit would have happened, right? So I'm going to accept responsibility for that. But I'm smart enough to know I need a job without a boss. I need a job in sales. And I need a job where I don't have to have any kind of license and the government can't come in and tell me I can't do it no more. So I stumbled across internet marketing. And so I had all these like accolades from doing mortgages. So I start training mortgage guys over the internet how to do what I did, you know, how to use social media, how to run ads, how to do TV ads, how to do print ads, all the things that I did to build my business.
Wall Street for mortgage people.
Dude, that's pretty much what I was, man. And so that took off pretty good. But after about 4 years of doing that, I kind of got bored having the same conversations over and over again. There's only so much mortgage shit you could talk about to somebody, you know. And it got to where it was like mind numb. It's like someone shows up on day one and they're like, okay, how do I get leads? Like, fuck, here we go again, right? So I needed to expand my reach. And so at this time I realized like, shit, I've actually built a business. I got a real business making millions of dollars a year. Why don't I teach other businesses what I've done? This is duplicatable in other industries. And so that's what I do now is I own 13 different businesses. Most of them I own 100% of. Some of them I own a percentage of and sit on the board of. We have companies that do 50, 60 million a year that I sit on the board of. The average company that I own the average company I own does high 7, low 8 figures. Low 8's less than 25 million a year to me. High 7's, low 8 figures a year. I sit on 13 different companies. The cheapest company that I have that money-wise is a software company that did $1 million in sales in the last 14 months. So, you know, I built this like with no education, no fucking help, nobody promoting me, no affiliates blasting my name out there. I ain't got no high fives from no gurus, like no shout outs, no fucking none of that shit. I built it all from scratch off of sales. And today I don't like saying what my net worth is or whatever, but life is really good, man. My kids are in private school. I live in my dream house. I got every toy I ever imagined. I have people that work with me that are amazing. I have clients that I love. Like literally, I tell my clients, I fucking love you, dog. Like this is my life. So because of sales, I've been able to like truly live the dream. And had I never mastered the skill of selling, none of this stuff would be possible. But I believe, to kind of finalize my long ass story here, I believe that there's 4 levels that you got to get to in life. Level 1 is being a salesperson, right? So like you got to learn how to sell. That's the foundation of everything. If you're going to own a business, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you can have the greatest product in the world, but if you can't sell that motherfucker, you're going to be hungry, right? The second thing is you go to self-employed. So that's what I did. I was a salesman. I lost my job, so I became self-employed. Well, when you're a salesman, it's all about you make a sale, you want your money. When you're self-employed, it's only you. And so when you make a sale or you make money, it's your money again. But then when you get to level 3, which is where I'm at right now, and you become a CEO, then everybody else gets paid before me. Like all this shit, I didn't lay anybody off. I walked into my office 8 weeks ago when we got locked down, and I said, listen, if I got to sell cars, 4-wheelers, watches, jewelry, assets, stocks, bonds, like you all got a job here. We can float this shit for 6 months. on the cash that we got, because I'm debt free on all my businesses. We float this shit for 6 months minimum on all the cash that we got. If the shit lasts longer than 6 months, I'll start selling shit to keep you guys here. And that's how much I love my team. And because of that, they work 10 times harder right now for me than they've ever worked in their life for anybody else, because they know they're safe with me. But as a CEO, I got to be a leader. So that means I got to take a step back. Matter of fact, last year, I didn't even take a paycheck from 3 of my companies because I wanted the money to go back into hiring people and training people and investing people so that we could grow more this year. Then when you get to the 4th and final level, that's when you hire CEOs, which some of my 13 companies have CEOs. You hire CEOs to replace yourself, and you're just the money man, the investor behind all of it. You're not working in the business or on the business. The business is cash flowing and working for you. So, I made the transition from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and now I'm trying to, over the next 5 years of my life, by the time I'm 45, I would like to be in a position where all my companies have CEOs, and I'm just the guy that the CEOs go to and report their earnings and ask for information and help when they need it. But these companies run themselves because, I believe that you're supposed to spend the first half of your life spending your time making money, and the second half of your life spending your money buying back all the time that you had to give up in the first half of your life.
Love that. Were you naturally a good salesperson, or this is something that you had to overcome and get better at?
Well, I'm naturally a people person. So my grandma would tell me stories. Like, I'm still close with my grandma that bailed me out of jail years ago. She's still alive. She's about 82 years old. And she would tell me stories when I was about 30. She would say, man, when you were a little kid, and we grew up in a small town. She said, when you were a little kid and I would go to the post office when you were visiting me in the summer, I would go in the post office and you would be sitting outside shooting the shit with the old men. Right? She's like, you always just like talk to anybody. I can't take you to the grocery store because you start talking to the people in front of us. And I'm just a friendly person. I'm friendly. I like to talk to people, and I'm not judgmental, right? Like I don't judge people on how they look or who they are or whatever. I know all walks of life can change into being the greatest version of themselves. So I'm naturally a people person, but I have invested well into $1.5 million worth of reading books, seminars, digital programs, going to, just like that little $3,000 that I spent, almost 17 years ago to learn how to flip properties. Man, I'd spent, I think I was 17 when one of the car wash managers gave me cassette tapes of Zig Ziglar, and I remember listening to him going, oh man, this old dude is awesome. And before Zig died, by the way, he was my first mentor that I ever paid for. This was in 2004 or 5. No, it was 2006. So he was the first mentor that I ever paid for. And I ended up living 2 streets over from the guy. So like, it was cool before he passed away. I got to like be around like true legendary status. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was something that I'm naturally a people person, but that doesn't necessarily make you good. You could be friendly and not good at sales. So I invested in my education to get good at sales over the years. Plus, practice makes persistence, and so practice, like at the car wash, there might be on a Saturday, I think the most I ever did in one Saturday was write 1,500 sales tickets. It's like I think it was 1,497 sales tickets that I wrote in one day. So that's 140 cars coming in an hour roughly that I got to talk to. So when you're operating on that volume, you're only 60 minutes in an hour. So you got like 30 seconds a car. So you got to get that pitch down. You know what I mean? And so anyway, I had a lot of practice as well as investing into my education and then being a people person. So I think that's like a trifecta that got me to where I am.
So what were some of the biggest things you learned investing in your education? Like what tactical stuff can you kind of give salespeople listening?
Well, for the salespeople out there, it really only takes 2 things. And let me preface it with this, right? Like there's a saying in the Navy, they say, keep it simple, stupid. And in the Navy and the military in general, they talk down on each other. When you're going through Hell Week, when you're going through boot camp, when you're going through these things, they treat you like shit. They talk down on you and all that. That's just kind of the process, right? To gain authority for the sergeant, the commander, all that stuff, right? So keep it simple, stupid. That's what they say. Hey, keep it simple, stupid, right? I don't like to talk down to people like that. So what I say is keeping it simple sales. Okay, same letter acronym, but keeping it simple sales. See, and really Keeping it simple sells your subconscious. You see, a lot of people look for excuse, whether salespeople, entrepreneur, business owner, they look for an excuse. And complexity is an alibi to an excuse. You with me now? Like if something's complex, they go, well, Sam's smart, and that's some complex shit. I could never understand it with my 8th grade education, right? And then all of a sudden it becomes an excuse not to do the work, not to get better at something, not to try to learn something, right? It's an alibi of an excuse, okay? Whereas simplicity sells, right? If something's simple, you think, oh shit, I can do that. If he can do it, I can do it. If I can do that once, I can do it 100 times. And so I learned to keep things simple. A lot of times when people talk to their prospects, like in the mortgage business, for example, the reason why I was super successful and did hundreds of millions of sales in the mortgage world, whereas the average dude at the time couldn't even write a damn loan to save his life, is because I would get on the phone with somebody and be like, what you trying to do? I'm trying to get a house. Cool. I'm gonna help you get a house. You close in 30 days. I'm gonna send you some paperwork. All right. It's that simple. Whereas the dude next to me in the cube next to me is like, well, listen, the bond market today is doing this, and that's going to cause rates to do this. And when the rates drop, we're going to lock you in with this. And then the rates are based on the bond market, the treasury yield. And people are like, what the fuck? I don't even fucking do this. This guy's way too smart. He's going to rip me off. Right? Like, and they would give them too much to think about and make shit too complicated. Like when you're selling something, you just have to figure out one thing. The core need of the prospect you're talking to. When someone came to me for a mortgage, they don't want a mortgage. They don't want a mortgage. Nobody ever woke up in the middle of the fucking night and went, honey, we need to pay the bank for 30 years. That's what the fuck I want to do for the next 30 years. Nobody's ever said that in the history of their life, right? Like none of us. Like what they say is, honey, we need a house and we got to deal with the fucking bank if we're going to get one. Right? So my job is not to sell them a mortgage because they don't want it. I'd be selling them something they don't want. My job is to ensure that they get the house that they want. And I'm just the gatekeeper in between what they want and what they got to have to be able to get it. So that's all I focused on. Hey, you want a house? Cool. You can have it in 30 days. Here's what it's going to cost you to get it. All right. Well, that seems decent. Let's go. It was that simple. And people would always look at me like, Stewman, it can't be that easy. Well, if I show you my fucking paycheck that it was, you know. And you over here talking about the bond market. I don't even know how that shit works. I just punch in some numbers. It gives me a fucking rough price estimate. And that's why I was giving them. But in order to get to that level of simplicity, you have to understand the core need of your clients. Now, once you understand the core need of your prospects and clients, it only takes 2 things to close a sale. And again, some of y'all going to hear this and go, well, it can't be that simple. I'm telling you, I drove to work in a Lamborghini today because it's keeping it simple. Right? When I was driving that Ford F-250, I was living a complex life. I'm telling you right now. And so really the main thing you need is empathy. Okay. It takes 2 things to close sales. Empathy. Empathy isn't like feeling sorry for someone. You have to listen. You got to shut the fuck up and let them talk. There's 2 types of prospects in the world. Like prospect number 1, where you're like, hey, what made you decide to reach out? Which by the way, is the most powerful question in sales. Let me tell you why. First, because you say, what made you decide to reach out? One of the hardest things to do is to get a human being to make a decision. Don't believe me? Tonight, go ask your wife or your husband what they want for dinner. They're hungry as hell. They don't even know. They hate making decisions. You know what I'm saying? And so when you ask that sales question, what made you decide to reach out to me? You're implying that they made a decision and you're part of that decision. That is a huge first step in sales. There's 2 types of people that answer that question. Type 1 says, well, I don't know. I'm just checking things out. You have to work with that person. The second type, they're looking for empathy and they want to do business with you. They say something like, well, it all started in the 6th grade when Amanda broke my heart, right? And they like start telling you this long story. What a lot of salespeople do is they interrupt them. They don't want to listen to a long story. That is the wrong thing to do. You have to listen to somebody's story. Here's why. Because most people don't listen. Your wife don't listen to you. Your husband don't listen to you. Your kids don't listen to you. Your employees don't listen to you. Your boss don't listen to you. Hell, at this point, you've been drinking so much, the bartender don't even listen to you. So when a salesman listens to you, not only did he show you that he's like the one person in your life willing to listen, he also showed you that he cares, right? Because when someone's talking to us and we're attentively paying attention and listening to them, we're letting them know that we care about them. We care enough to hear their story. We care about them, right? And that's where empathy is made. So you don't need empathy in the facts like I understand your story and you make the assumption that they know you have empathy for them. You cannot move forward until they know that you have empathy, until they know that you understand their situation. The only way to do that is by listening to their story, okay? So that's step 1. Step 2 is confidence. Confidence comes from product knowledge, right? Like if you sell anything, you should know what you sell inside and out, so that when I understand what they need, I can confidently tell them how my product solves that problem that they got. And listen, most people are insecure. Most people are ignorant and insecure. And that's not an insult. That's just like, people don't know how mortgages work. People don't know what coaching services I provide. People don't know how my software works until they try it. So I have to be confident when I explain to them that it's the product for them. So once you've mastered empathy and confidence, sales is easy, man. All you got to do from there is just say, hey, how would you like to pay today? Right? You've shown them that you listen and you understand enough to know that your product is the perfect, confident fit for them. The next step is to logically ask them, how would they like to pay today? And that makes sales simple. And too many salespeople try to complex the shit, but complexity is the killer of commissions. I promise you that.
That's so true, man. That's so true. I think that a lot of salespeople talk their way right out of this sale. That person's already ready to buy, but they talk so fucking much. That next thing you know, the person was like, nah, I lost interest. So I love the way that you say, just let them talk and shut the F up. And that is so profound. I mean, I've learned that the hard way when I was first getting into sales.
Well, think about it. So you have a supplement line, right? And so if someone calls you and they're like, I'm looking to cleanse my liver, and you're like, listen, we got L-cysteine and benzidine and vein, and when you mix those three together, they create this compound called codeine, and then this codeine compound times 3 with this other deal, and a pharmacist over in Africa that learned it from a doctor over in India, from a dude in Indianapolis. They're like, what the fuck does any of that have to do with, it would be much simpler to go, hey, we got a product for you. It's called Liver Cleanse. It's going to work perfect. It's $49.95. You need it for about 3 months to get your life back on track. How would you like to pay for that today? But see, we try to impress people, and oftentimes the impression that you make when you're trying to impress people is the wrong one.
Yeah. I like that. Now, what would have, say you're getting into the sales process with someone and they're just not convinced, they're like, I need to talk to my wife, maybe it's too expensive for me. How do you overcome that kind of stuff?
Well, so objections are kind of my thing. We get a lot of them in sales, and I've practiced over the years. The number one thing that you can do, let me pull this up here, see if I got some in here. Yeah. So you can do this on whatever cards, but I have these little things called closer cards, right? And they're basically index cards. That's all they are. It's just a fancy logo index card. And what you need to do is this is how you get good at objections. There's like 10 regular objections that we all get. Need to talk to my wife, need to think about it, not ready yet, too expensive, that kind of shit, right? Write all of those on these cards, and then you write the rebuttal in the back. Someone talks to their wife. Let's say they're buying a bottle of liver cleanse, right? Well, does your wife want you to have a healthy liver? Yeah, well, why would you have to talk to her about that? She wants you to be healthy. You want to be healthy. Don't you think she'd be on board for that? Well, it's too expensive. Well, $49.95 a month for the next 90 days. That's $150. If you have to go to the doctor, it's going to be a minimum of $150 per visit, plus medication and insurance deductibles that you're paying, and an increase of insurance and deductibles the next year, right? You got to start thinking about things that cost more. Like when people say it costs too much, show them the pain of not doing it costs more than the pain of doing it, okay? And so you write all the rebuttals to that stuff down here, and you practice them daily. When someone comes in, they get a job from me, the first thing they get their hands on is a stack of these. And they read them every day like flashcards. And then my sales manager comes in and he hits them up. He's like, need to talk to my wife. And they better know the fucking answer. Hey, this is too expensive. They better know the answer. Then let's say there's 10 regular ones. There's 25 cards that you need, because sometimes somebody's going to throw you a zinger. Well, I got to wait for the planets to align. You need to write down that for the next time in case the shit comes up. You know what I mean? And so you want to be practice every day. When you come in the office, you want to look up the objections and the answer to those objections and memorize them like it ain't nothing, right? Like it ain't nothing. You should know every objection your prospects are going to hit you with before you even get on the phone with them. And once you get to that place, you can start proactively handling the objections before they even come up. Like, for example, they say, well, I'm not ready to make a decision today, but you decided to reach out to me. We already discussed that in the beginning of this call. So you are making decisions today, sir. What is it about this particular decision that has you insecure about the solution?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Makes a lot of sense.
How about pre-qualification? How much of that comes into play? How much do you do that? Do you believe that? And what do you think of the pre-qualification process?
So one of the businesses I own is a lending business. We do personal loans, SBA loans, capital infusions for companies, purchase order loans, things of that nature, right? And I'm trying to get rid of the people before I spend too much time on them. So somebody will say, hey, what's it take to get a personal loan? Perfect credit, your taxes need to be done, and you need to have your books in order from accounting. If you don't have those three things, we can't talk. Well, shit, man, I only got a 650 credit score. Call my man, Trevor, that's a credit repair guy, hit me back in 60 days. That way I didn't waste time talking to this person. Somebody wants to be a coaching client of mine, a personal coaching client. Hey, what's your annual income? Oh, man, I make $60,000. Man, I only fuck with millionaires, dude. So here, let me put you in this digital product for $99 a month, and we'll get you set up. And when you get to $1 million, we can have a conversation about what it takes to work with me. So like the pre-qualified, like you shouldn't even be pitching people that aren't qualified because that's a colossal waste of time. One of the things that people do when they make cold calls is they pitch the gatekeeper. What the fuck are you pitching them for? They can't even make a decision. You trying to tell the gatekeeper what you sell, hoping what they'll be happy and put you through. They don't care. They're just there to see who goes through and who doesn't. Don't pitch the gatekeeper. Tell the gatekeeper that you need to talk to somebody and you're willing to hold until they can put you on the phone with them. That's it. It's that simple. You know, when you try to sell the gatekeeper, you just wasted valuable time, and then you probably pissed the gatekeeper off because they can't make a decision and you wasted their time too.
Okay. I like that. So what do you think in today's market? You know, maybe people are scared. People aren't buying. If I'm a car salesman, if I'm selling stuff online, like it doesn't really matter. You know, everybody in this sales game could be hurting right now. What advice would you give to those people?
Well, right now, and I've been telling this, you know, I have a group on Facebook called Sales Talk with Sales Pros. It's the largest sales group on Facebook. There's 86,000 and some change of us in there. And we vet everybody that comes in there. So it's a full-time job in itself. But, you know, I've been telling these guys right now, you need to call and check on the people you've done business with. Hey, sir, I know times are tough right now. And you know, things are a little out of control. I just wanted to, you know, check in with you and see how you and your family are. Is everything going okay? You need somebody to talk to? Bro, you just sold me a car. What are you now, my therapist? No, man, I care about my customers, and you cared enough to do business with me. I'm just calling you to check in and make sure things are okay with you. And then they just might start telling you a story. And if you listen, you just might have a little empathy for them, and they just might send you a referral. Maybe not now, but sometime in the future when things go back to normal. And if somebody bought a house or a car, chances are in 3 to 5 years, they're going to buy another house or a car. So if you're checking in on them right now, in 3 to 5 years, when it's time for them to buy or sell again, you're going to be the person they came to, because when the corona hit, you were the person checking in on them. You don't have to sell them nothing. If they want to buy, they'll buy. You don't have to sell them nothing right now, but a lot of people sitting around right now, and you might have to financially struggle a little bit right now as a salesperson. Not everybody, but some industries might have to struggle a little bit right now. But you could call and check up on your clients, and that's called a power move, and you won't struggle in the future. And you're going to build a bigger bond with the people that you've already helped. See, a lot of people, they're scared to call their customers because they don't want complaints. You know, oh, man, the car broke down. Dude, bring it in. We'll fix it. Oh, man, you know, my mortgage payment went up because of the taxes. Dude, let me look at it. Let me see if I can help. Did you file a homestead exemption? Right? Anytime a customer has a complaint, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, because you get an opportunity to solve a problem they had. And that's what salespeople do. We're problem solvers. But a lot of people are scared to death of complaints. I don't like complaints, but I welcome them because A, it allows me to get better, and B, it gives me a problem that I can solve for somebody, which means that they'll probably come back to me in the future because I'm a problem solver, and they're going to have another problem in the future that I can solve for. Plus, if I solve a problem for them, it gives me an opportunity to ask, hey, who else do you know might have this problem that I can help?
Right. So I see you as somebody who's energetic, enthusiastic. You know, you have a lot of passion, and that to me always sells. You know, I can't be with a salesperson that's like kind of monotone and it's really not passionate about the product. And you know, I always say, you know, a salesperson, you know, without passion and enthusiasm is like a cashier at a grocery store. All they do is like kind of scan. You know, they have no facial expressions. Now, if somebody's not naturally, you know, a passionate, or I don't know, it has high energy, how can they get like that? Because in a sales job, I think that's a prerequisite to success.
Yeah, man. You know, one of my favorite sayings, and I got this from Zig, is you have to act your way into a feeling because you'll never feel like taking action. Like communication operates on 3 levels: the words coming out of my mouth, the movements of my body, and the tonality of the words coming out of my mouth. Like I can say, fuck yeah, right? And then you think, well, damn, he really don't want to do that. Or I can say, fuck yeah. And you're like, man, he's into that. So you have to start acting with enthusiasm and act into that feeling. And eventually you'll feel that way. But you'll never feel like I never feel like going to the gym in the morning. I hate the gym, right? I'm in great shape. And you wouldn't think that I hated going to the gym, but I hate it. But I act my way into the feeling because the gym makes me feel good, but I'll never feel like waking up early and going to the gym. I ain't never, even when I worked out with you and Michael Hearn and Shep and Heath, man, I didn't want to wake up at 4 a.m. I didn't feel like going to the gym.
You got it done.
I got it done. I acted my way into the feeling. Yeah. And so it's the same with enthusiasm, right? And listen, here's the truth. Communication is 80% tonality, right? So the way the words, not the words that I say, but the way that I say those words, you hear how like you can tell I'm an excited, confident person when I speak. That's 80% of communication. 15% of communication is the body language. And you can hear body language over the phone. You can see it through the screen. You can see it face to face, right? You can tell if somebody's like super excited, but they just seem like really, it's hard to even be constricted and have that tonality. Only 5% of communication is the actual words you say. And words are confusing anyway, because good is bad, bad is good. You know, like we have words that we make up every year that are slang and everything else. So tonality is the key. And you have to think of what, if I'm going to talk to somebody, what's an enthusiastic tone? One of the hardest people to sell me are CPAs, because they are just monotone motherfuckers, man. And I have never, if I talk to a CPA, it could be the worst CPA in the world, but if he's like, dude, we're going to handle your taxes, and I'm going to get you all these deductions, I'll be like, fucking sold, right? But instead they're like, well, I'll look at it and we'll make an informed decision there. You know, the IRS, something, well, it's the IRS, right? Like that's how they typically talk to you. And it's like, damn, no wonder your business is hurting, you know? Like if I was a CPA, which I could never do, but if I was a CPA, I'd be like, bro, I don't like paying the IRS neither. It's my job to make sure that you minimize your tax exposure. And that's where I come in, and I'm going to save you so much money throughout this process. You're going to thank me every year for being your CPA because I love beating the IRS, right? Like that's how I would talk to my clients. Wouldn't nobody say no to me, because my competition sound like this. Well, it's the IRS, you know, it's just how they are, right? Like that's not exciting at all. Man, as soon as some CPAs show up and start talking that way, they're going to take over the damn world. For real. Everybody going to be lined up to do business with them.
I love that. Just energy. Energy is transferable. And I totally feel it like in this interview with you. So I think
Ryan's on fire all the time. I've never seen him mean off. You know, Ryan's on fire all the time, and I love it. I love it.
Opportunity to be sick. I don't get an opportunity. If you had me on this podcast and I was like, well, thanks, Sam. You know, I'm having a rough time right now. Like people like, that dude was a fucking loser, Sam. What the fuck did you let him on your podcast for, boring the shit out of us? Your shit go from number 1 to 1 million. You know what I mean? Wouldn't nobody want to listen to this episode? I got to bring it. I don't have a choice, right? Like if I'm going to inspire, motivate, educate, and entertain people, right? I got to be on fire, man. I can't show up to my office in the morning and be like, you guys got to do some sales today, man, or we're in trouble. I'm like, listen, guys, we got an opportunity to change some fucking lives today, right? Like that's how it's got to be at all times. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, a salesperson, a business, a husband, a wife, a father, a leader, you got to have some enthusiasm, because just like you said, that shit's contagious, right? And human beings are contagions. Much like this virus, we're a contagion. Right? And you can either be contagious with negativity, you can be contagious with being an energy thief, a robber of energy, or you can be contagious with inspiration, contagious with motivation, contagious with love, contagious with friendship, contagious with relation. I want to be a contagion that's good for people. I want people to come around me and go, I want some of what that dude's on. And when I'm like, I'm high on life, they're like, shit, I'm sobering up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. So what are you doing now? You know, you said you own 13 businesses and everything. I know you do some in the real estate industry. Talk to me about what you're doing now.
Well, so, man, I own a coaching, consulting, digital product company. I own a software company. I buy and sell homes. I got 2 homes under contract right now, so I'm always flipping houses on the side. We invest in a lot of companies. I have a meal prep company that you guys are familiar with that I'm part owner of. Man, I do marketing and funnels for people. We have a lending business, dude. So, but here's the thing, like, I don't want to confuse people and go, well, this dude's all over the place. Look, I got 20 years in this shit. I didn't start 13 businesses overnight. I started making $1 million a year in one. And I looked up and I said, okay, so I'm coaching people and I'm making $1 million, I'm making $2-3 million a year. What could I do to add value to my coaching business? And I said, you know what? I like ClickFunnels. I use it. I like Lead Pages. I use it. I like Infusionsoft. I use it, but it's all fucking confusing. What if I made something that was real simple that the average tech challenge idiot could make and they could do it in like 10 minutes? What if I create something like that? So I take some money out of that business and I go over and I hire some software people and I created something called phone sites where you can create a sales funnel and pages, membership site and shit. Any idiot, your grandma, your grandson, your grandparents, anybody with tech challenge problems can make the shit, right? And so then I go back to my already existing database and I'm like, look, I'm gonna make your life easier. And I got 2 companies then. Then I've always flipped properties. So any extra money that I have in my account, we always bought properties. But then I partnered up with my longest running best friend in the world, Mike Wolf. And I said, Mike, if you and I both throw in this was 5 years ago. If you and I both throw in $200,000 right now, we can be making $1 million, $2 million a year. He said, I trust you, Ryan, man. I've known you my whole life. You know me your whole life. Like, let's roll. And so we're doing that, right? We start buying houses and everything else. And then it got to a point where it was like, man, buying houses, we got to go manage them. We got to go flip them. We got to go sell them. We have to deal with realtors, right? Like we got to deal with all this shit. So what if we just took our capital and invested into other people that are buying houses? Then we don't have to work for it. All we got to do is catch the cash flow that comes back. So then I said, well, what if we just took our money and we started investing in businesses? And then the businesses give us cash flow every month, right? And businesses are more reliable than real estate if we pick the right businesses. So then we got real estate businesses. And then I said, well, shit, all these people all of a sudden hit me up with loans. I should probably get a brokerage going to where I can give SBA loans and shit to all the businesses that I'm loaning money to so that I can get my money back. And so then I started another business. And this is over the course of like 15 years that I've started these businesses. And each one of them has kind of fed off the other one. I look around and I say, okay, I have mastered this particular business. What can I do to bring more value to this business while creating a subsequential business that I can master as well? And once I get them up and running, I hire people to take over. I slowly but surely replace myself in each company. So now I come in here and it's like I'm a hen sitting on eggs waiting for them to hatch. You know what I mean? I come in here, I make sure that the fires aren't catching my consulting business. My customers are happy. I make sure that our software business is running. And really my job these days, more than sales, is to create content and look at finances and make sure that things are headed in the right financial direction we want them to go in.
You know, you have accomplished so much, you know, multimillionaire, 13 businesses, you know, you take care of your people, you know, great family, man, you know, and it's fascinating to see that you still work like you're broke. You know, you still have that work ethic. You know, you stayed humble, but also you stayed hungry. You know, and that's a trait that a lot of people lack. You know, they make it to a certain point and they just want to rest back on your laurels, and next thing you know, something happens and they lose it all. You're always thinking of the next step. You're always, you know, going to that next level, man. And Ryan, I admire that so much because you're always on to the next thing and looking at the future. You're not sitting back in your pajamas watching Netflix, even though you could, you know, the rest of your life if you wanted to. You know, what keeps you that hungry? What keeps you that motivated?
It's a mental game, and I learned this from my wife. My beautiful wife, man, don't let her fool you. She a bad bitch. She has 2 financial licenses, and when I met her, she was a single hot-ass woman that didn't need a man for shit. She was making $250,000 a year at 26 years old, raising a kid by herself, owned her own house, had her own car, and was doing big things at a hedge fund. She's raised over $800 million in her lifetime. So she ain't just like, she's retired now and runs some of my business stuff, but she's a bad motherfucker. And in 2015, I logged into one of my bank accounts and we weren't married yet, but she looked over my shoulder. She said, why you got so much money in your bank account? And I said, well, I made it. Why wouldn't I have that much money? She said, you should never log into a bank account and have that much money. What you need is like 20 bank accounts with 10 or 15 grand in them, so that when you wake up and you log into any given bank account, you're like, oh, fuck, I am broke. I better get to fucking work today. And so I never see a balance with millions of dollars in my bank account. I log into my personal Bank of America account, $10,000, $15,000. I log into my business account, couple $100,000, which ain't shit. It's just operating cash. You know what I mean? And I'm always moving that cash into the next thing. It's because cash sitting in an account is like an employee on break, right? Cash is an employee. It's got to be out working for you, earning you money. So I'm always investing my money in different things so that I don't have money, and not all investments work out. Sometimes people don't pay you back. Sometimes shit crashes. Sometimes a fucking virus takes over the world, right? Like shit happens, you know? And so those are the things that keep me hungry. These are the little mental tricks I play on myself to where I never wake up one morning and see I got $20 million sitting in an account going, well, shit, I'm watching Tiger King all day today. Fuck this shit, right? Like I wake up in the morning, I look at the account and I'm like, shit, man, I don't have shit. I got to get to work and put some more money in this thing. Then when more money goes in there, I transfer it into another investment, buy another property, build another business, something of that nature. And at first it was like, I have $10,000 in my bank account maybe 15 years ago. I felt like I had a little money. Then it took me a while to get comfortable having $50,000 in. Then it took me a little while to get comfortable having $100,000 in. Now, if I look at my bank accounts and they ain't got $500,000, $1 million in there, then I'm like, shit, dude, I am broke as fuck, dude. This won't last me and my lifestyle and businesses no time at all. I got to go to work today. You know, just like you, I know you're ripped, man. And like I said, I'm in pretty good shape too. I'm not near as good a shape as you are, but I'm in pretty good shape too. But if I ever look in the mirror and go, man, shit, look at this 6-pack abs, bro. I'm eating some Twinkies for breakfast. Dude, I am fucked. You know, first of all, if you'll do it once, you'll do it 100 times. And second of all, the second that you start to think that you made it, this is why I stay humble and hungry. The second that I think I made it is the second that I start to lose it.
Yeah, true.
Love that, man.
Love that, man.
I got one last question for you, Ryan. So right now I'm in business school. I'm, going to school, working with Sam and stuff like that. But I have a couple buddies, and they're in business school, but they don't really know what they want to do. They're just like, I don't want to get some job that just the first one out of college. Like, I want to find something I like. I want to find something I want to do. What advice would you give to someone like that?
Man, the beautiful thing about living in today is you can make money off of anything. I'm not a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan, but I like the guy. Okay, like I'm not somebody like follows him on social media and stuff, but he serves a purpose. Like he introduces people to entrepreneurism, right? But like let's look at what he's doing right now. This dude's trading like My Little Ponies and baseball cards, just showing people that you can make money from anything. I have a friend, Dexter, and he's got kids that work for him that make $1 million a year playing like Call of Duty and NBA video games, right? And so the key is, and this is where this wasn't possible in mine and Sam's day, okay? But it's possible in your day. See, in mine and Sam's day, we're like, Mom, I'm going to get rich playing video games. Mom be like, you stupid as a motherfucker, boy. You better stay in school, right? But it's possible now. I live in a city, we were talking about off the air, where there's more professional sports teams than any other city in the world. Their headquarters are there, okay? That doesn't necessarily like the Dallas Cowboys are there. The Dallas Stars are there. It's not where they play, but it's where their headquarters are, the corporate headquarters, okay? And in that city, there is the PGA headquarters is there, right? They're about to have the thing that replaces the Masters in my city, right? In that city, there is a professional gaming center. People go in there and get paid. I went with Dan Fleischman one time to the Luxor and did a speaking event for Dan Fleischman, who's a great friend of mine. And in this Luxor, he owns this thing that is a video game department where kids compete just like they would be. Like the parents are out playing poker, the kids are competing for money in video games. So this is a time where you find out what you like. You might like not to look at Jake Paul. You might like to be a smartass for a living. And Jake Paul makes like $20 million a year just being a smartass on video. Look at Joe Rogan. You might like to smoke pot and talk to interesting people. Joe Rogan making like $10 million a year smoking pot and just fucking talking to interesting people. So the key is to figure out because without passion, there's no money. There's no profit without passion. So the key is to figure out what you really like and what you could do for the rest of your life. For me, it just happens to be sales because I'm wired weird like that, and entrepreneurship because I'm wired weird like that. But I do things I like. I like fucking with money, so I lend money. I like fucking with the internet and social media. So I teach the internet and social media. You figure out what it is that you like and don't go chase a job. Create a career around what you already like. That's where so many people, they say, oh, I'm just going to go get this job to pay my bills. No. Create a career around your passion to profit from. And you'll never feel like you work a day of your life. Man, I never come in here and be like, fuck. I never tell my kids when I leave the house in the morning, be like, daddy's got to go to work today. Right? I'm like, kids, I got an opportunity to go to the office today. I wish y'all could go with me. It's so much fun. They're like, fucking dad, it's weird as shit. Right? But that's how I feel about this. Right? Now I'm just wired for this kind of stuff, but you might like playing video games. You might like playing, like Dan Bilzerian got rich fucking models and smoking pot playing poker. You know what I'm saying? Like that motherfucker's richer than all of us. He rich as a motherfucker, man. Me and Sam been to his house. That house is fucking sick. And he just fucks models, smokes pot, and plays poker all day. The motherfucker's worth like $150 million, right? So you have to figure out, like, especially you guys out in California, there's people like Big Mike, who I went to a football game with, Dallas Cowboy game a couple years ago. Big Mike, man, he just like to smoke weed all day and sell dope and shit like that. And he's worth fucking $10, $20 million now from smoking weed all day and selling dope. You know what I mean? Totally legal, you know? So you just got to, there's people that like music. The difference between a guy that makes it as a rapper or a singer is the person that actually decided that there was nothing else in life they were going to do until they accomplished that. Because listen, you go take a job, you're going to start a job at minimum wage. You go take a job, you're going to start a job at an entry level, whether you got a college degree or whatever the fuck, you're going to start a job as an entry level. You might as well start your passion with entry level pay, because then the sky is the limit because you're actually passionate about it and you'll stay with it forever.
Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. Bro, this is, oh man. Man, I gotta transcribe this motherfucker. You know what I mean? I gotta transcribe. I gotta get this transcription and read it again. You know, this was the gospel. This was the gospel. Ryan, brother, you know, we truly appreciate, you know, you as a person, as a family man, as somebody who's gone through life with all the adversity and came out of it and still able to talk about, you know, you humbilize yourself by talking about it. You make fun of yourself. You know, you're a lot smarter than you portray here, you know, but you just downplay yourself because you're a smart dude, bro, and you're a go-getter. I don't care what you say. Bro, I appreciate you, man, and I want to have you back one day, and I want you to have a presentation on sales with my franchisees, man, because they really need to understand, you know, what you just said. Bro, for people who want to learn more about you, you know, maybe, you know, and maybe, you know, do some work with you, maybe some consulting with you, where can they find more information about you?
So the best place to find me, like I'm on all social media. The best place to like figure out where you want to connect with me, I'm mostly on Instagram and Facebook, but you can go to onespotsocial.com/closer. It's onespotsocial.com/closer. I own that company. It's a free software that you guys can use as well. And basically right there is all my social media profiles, my websites, everything that you would want to connect with me and all that stuff. So it's onespotsocial.com/closer. You can find me there, figure out where you want to connect with me. And here's the thing about me, for those that are watching, listening, whatever, I don't have a team that runs my shit. I answer you get a DM from me. That's me actually answering you. That really is me. And so you can hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, wherever. And if I answer you, I don't answer everybody, but if I do, it's really me. And I really post the shit on there. I write my own shit. I don't have people that manage it for me. So go to onespotsocial.com/closer and then figure out where you want to connect with me, and then you be connected.
Ryan, brother, it was a pleasure, man. It was fun. This was one of the funnest interviews that I've ever had. My whole staff is laughing behind the scenes because, you know, you make information entertaining, you know, and yeah. No, I appreciate you, brother, and we can't wait to have you back on the show.
Hey, when we can all like see each other and hug each other again, I'm gonna be in your hood for sure, man.
Let's do that, bro. Take care.
Hey guys, if you liked today's episode, do me a huge favor. Go and leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, leave me a review, and tag a few friends that you think can benefit from what we shared today. Really appreciate it. God bless.